welcome to this Friday edition of the World Report, viewers. I'm Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Of course, let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world. US President Donald Trump on Thursday praised PM Modi, calling him a great man and a friend in his words, while hinting that he also may very well visit India next year as a part of the ongoing efforts to strengthen trade relations between the two nations. Speaking to reporters at the White House after announcing a new deal to lower the prices of weight loss drugs, Trump said his talks with PM Modi were, quote, going great. Now, when asked directly if he planned to travel to India next year, Trump replied it could be yes. Here's more.
Great, on a trade deal, and when
going good. He stopped buying oil from Russia.
When you plan?
And he's a friend of mine, and we speak, and he wants me to go there. We'll figure that out. I'll go. I had a great trip there with Prime Minister Modi. He's a great man.
Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, viewers, just got richer after Tesla shareholders approved his pay package of nearly $1 trillion for over the next decade. That's right, Musk celebrated his fat new paycheck by shaking a leg, but with his company's humanoid robot Optimus at Tesla's annual general meeting in Texas's Austin. Moments after his new pay package was in fact approved, Musk stepped onto stage amid cheers from audience, as you see right there, and broke into a dance move. With the robot copying all of Elon Musk's move as well, the move, viewers, symbolized just how tightly Tesla's future is deeply tied to Optimus, which according to Musk himself would handle manufacturing, deliveries and even personal assistance one day for the company. We shift our focus to Asia, where the death toll from Typhoon Kalmegi that has hit the Philippines since Sunday has climbed to at least 188, with minimum 135 more missing. The country's National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council has said on Friday. Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos has declared a state of national calamity due to widespread destruction caused by Kalmegi and in preparation for the impact of a possible super typhoon as well. Now, Typhoon Kalmegi, viewers, made landfall in the Philippines on Tuesday, triggering massive flooding that in fact submerged houses all the way up to their roofs. It swept away countless cars and also displaced thousands of villagers. Using a formal document affixed with a royal seal, King Charles III has officially and formally stripped his brother Andrew Mountbatten Windsor of the title of Prince. That's correct. The disgraced royal has also lost the designation His Royal Highness after the king issued letters patent, a centuries-old type of document used by monarchs to in fact bestow and also remove appointments or titles. An announcement published Wednesday in the Gazette, the UK's official public record, said the king has been released by pleased by letters patent under the Great Seal of the Realm dated the 3rd of November 2025 to declare that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor shall no longer be entitled to hold or to enjoy the style, title or attribute of Royal Highness and the titular dignity of Prince. Meanwhile, members of the US Congress have written a letter to disgraced British Royal Andrew Mountbatten Windsor requesting he attend an interview over his knowledge and of his alleged involvement in sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's criminal activities and his criminal empire, so to say. Now, Andrew, who was officially stripped of his royal titles Thursday by King Charles III, has repeatedly denied his involvement in the abuse. Now, the king announced on the 30th of October that he was removing his brother's titles and also evicting him from his royal residence over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. We get you more.
Been saying this for a while. We wanted to formally invite him to come share his knowledge of what he knows about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, as well as about the entire criminal enterprise that Ghislaine Maxwell and others were involved in. Based on what victims like Virginia Giuffre have said, it seems very clear that Andrew knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing and what was involved, and may have been involved himself, but we just want to know what he knows.
In Latin America, viewers, New York City's new mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani arrived in Puerto Rico on Thursday for an annual summit that brings New York politicians and lobbyists as well to sunny San Juan for strategy meetings and workshops. Now, fresh off his election win, Mamdani is expected to be a main attraction of the Somos conference, as it's called, where he'll also have a chance to meet political insiders. Now, Mamdani, while visiting Puerto Rico for the first time since being elected mayor, also spoke about the strong ties between Puerto Rico and New York City, highlighting shared histories and communities.
I'm so happy to be here in Puerto Rico, and that question was asked of me of where I would go outside of the country, and I'm happy to be here at Somos, and I'm happy also to be here because you cannot tell the story of New York City without telling the story of Puerto Rico. And even just going to that parade and Puerto Rico no se vende, the chants, the convictions of so many of a life of decency. And it's been a joy to be here. I'm proud to report that in the few hours I've been here, I've already had some mofongo, and it's great.
Over in West Asia, viewers, Israeli jets struck several towns in southern Lebanon on Thursday after ordering residents to in fact leave. This marks an escalation in their nearly daily strikes on the country. Now, the latest airstrikes, in fact, come hours after militant group Hezbollah urged the Lebanese government not to enter negotiations with Israel. It later issued more warnings for the towns of Zatwar el-Sharqiya, where an explosion, in fact, was seen after a strike as night fell, and Kafir Dunin. The Israeli military, viewers, said it targeted military infrastructure for Hezbollah in these specific areas. Not only this, the IDF has also accused the militant group of rebuilding its capabilities almost 1 year after a US brokered ceasefire went into effect that in fact ended a months-long conflict. Over in Eurasia, Russian Defense Ministry has said that Russian troops have captured 64 buildings in the Krasnoarmeysk over the past 24 hours, repelled over 10 Ukrainian attacks and hit Ukrainian targets. This includes allegedly drone storage and launch facilities, temporary deployment areas for Ukrainian armed formations, and also foreign mercenaries in 149 areas. That's what the Russian Defense Ministry is claiming. On the other side of the fence, the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces has reported that its forces had launched offensives against 2 concentrations of Russian personnel, weapons and military equipment, repelled over 100 attacks by Russian troops in Pokrovsk and in other areas, and also reinforced military units defending the city, all and everything in Thursday. US President Donald Trump has hosted leaders of 5 Central Asian countries at the White House as he intensifies his hunt for rare earth metals needed for high-tech devices, including smartphones, electronic vehicles, and even fighter jets. Trump and the other officials, this time from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, held bilateral meetings in the Oval Office before having a working dinner. The White House, meanwhile, viewers, followed Trump's managing at least a temporary thaw with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on differences between the US and China over the export of rare earth minerals, which still continue to be a key point of friction in their trade negotiations.
I want to thank all of the leaders for being here and for their dedication to a strong relationship with the USA. The nations of Central Asia, known as the C5, sit at the historical and geographic crossroads of the world. These nations were once home to the ancient Silk Road connecting East and West. Great history, tremendous, beautiful history. Today, their location in the heart of Eurasia gives them incredible importance and unbelievable potential. Sadly, previous American presidents neglected this region completely. It's an unbelievable region, and by the way, it happens to be an extremely wealthy region, too. But we are fixing that mistake, and I'm committed to making America's partnership with each of these countries stronger than ever before.
We stay with Washington, where Vice President J.D. Vance, in fact, criticized a ruling by a federal judge in the Rhode Island area ordering the Trump administration to find the money to fully fund SNAP benefits for November, a decision that the administration has promptly appealed against. Now, the ruling by U.S. District Judge John J. McConnell Jr. gave President Donald Trump's administration, or has given it, until Friday and Friday only to make the payments through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, at its referred to through its unlikely the 42 million Americans, about 1 in 8 Americans, most of them in poverty, will see the money on their debit cards they use for groceries nearly that quickly. However, J.D. Vance blasted the judge's ruling irrespective.
Look, Jackie, it's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation. We're trying to keep as much turned on, we're trying to keep as much going as possible.
Over in Maryland, viewers, officials have sued Donald Trump's administration for blocking the previously approved construction of a new FBI headquarters just outside the nation's capital. Now, Governor Westmore joined other Maryland leaders to criticize the plan to remove the FBI's headquarters several blocks from its current home in Washington to the Ronald Reagan Building complex instead of Greenbelt, Maryland, which had initially been selected by Biden administration for a modern building after years of planning. The FBI, meanwhile, announced the change over the summer after a years-long battle over this very location. But Moore, a Democrat himself, described that buildings as too old, too small, and too exposed.
The president's plan is not just illegal. Frankly, it just lacks common sense. And his foolishness will put our public servants in jeopardy. The big problem with the current FBI building is that it lacks the modern security provisions and protections that the Bureau needs in 2025. So to be frank, the building is too old, it is too small, and it is too exposed. So what then does the president do? He decides to move the FBI building to another building that is too old, too small, and too exposed.
Investigators from America's National Transportation Safety Board, viewers, have revealed more discoveries surrounding the tragic recent UPS cargo plane crash, which in fact also destroyed the enormous plane and spread to nearby businesses, killing at least 12 people, including a child and 3 UPS crew members on board the cargo hauler. Now, the plane had been cleared for takeoff Tuesday when a large fire developed inside the left wing. And as the engine fell off, said Todd Inman, a member of the National Transportation Safety Board, which is leading the investigation. Now, the plane's last data recordings, viewers, show it had reached an altitude of only 475 feet or 145 meters and a speed of 210 meters per hour or 340 kilometers per hour before crashing just outside Louisville's Muhammad Ali International Airport on Thursday.
Reports regarding delays in regard to the engine before the flight. We've queried, and UPS has told us at this time there were no maintenance work done on the aircraft in question immediately prior to the flight that would delay it in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, one of our jobs is to make sure we verify anything that we may learn through multiple sources, but nothing to this point has been presented to us to dispute that. So our belief is today that there was not a maintenance issue regarding that aircraft prior to the flight subject.
We shift our focus to Latin America, viewers, where Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says his government is unperturbed as Washington continues its military buildup in the Caribbean. Let the gringos do whatever they want, said Maduro during a political event just last evening or Thursday evening. The Trump administration, meanwhile, maintains that the U.S. military has killed at least 66 people in 16 known strikes against truck smuggling vessels in the Caribbean Sea and the larger East Pacific Ocean since early September this year. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has justified the attacks as a necessary escalation to stem the flow of drugs into the U.S. from coast to coast. He's also asserted that the U.S. is engaged in an armed conflict with drug cartels, relying on the same legal authority used by the Bush administration when it declared a war on terrorism after the 11th of September 2001 attacks.
14 semanas de amenaza que los gringos, que tienen 15 barcos, que tienen 2.600 misiles, que tienen 100 aviones, que ahora viene el avión más grande, perdón, ¿cómo se llama? El portaaviones más grande del mundo llamado General Ford. Que los gringos hagan lo que les dé la gana. Nosotros somos imperturbables y nadie nos va a sacar del camino de producir, trabajar, construir, de la democracia directa y verdadera y de la paz perpetua, bendecida y sagrada de Venezuela.
And while we stay with the region, viewers, Brazil, where has announced that it has already raised $5.5 billion for a new fund aimed at paying developing countries to preserve their forests. That's correct. The announcement took place as world leaders gathering in Brazil's Amazon rainforest for the UN's annual climate summit warned that time is in fact running short and running out for urgent and decisive action to prevent the worst effects of climate change. Now, they hope the summit can help turn previous commitments into practical steps finally to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, preserve rainforests, and even make good on pledges to finance clean energy. But beware, heads of the world's biggest polluters, China, the United States, and India, are notably absent from these visuals. Some leaders and activities also singled out US President Donald Trump for, in fact, failing to act on climate change. Meanwhile, existing UN funds for climate loss and damage have drawn only modest contributions.
Porque son tiempos en que surgen voces que deciden ignorar o negar la evidencia científica sobre la crisis climática. Sin ir más lejos, el presidente de los Estados Unidos en la última Asamblea General de la ONU dijo que la crisis climática no existe. Y eso es mentira. Y debemos ser capaces de reivindicar el valor de la ciencia y de los hechos.
The startling incident occurred in the Oval Office, viewers, as President Donald Trump unveiled his plan to lower drug prices. A man unexpectedly collapsed during the event, prompting immediate medical attention, as you see there on your screens right about now. Now, this incident occurred just moments after Trump unveiled a landmark deal with drug makers to dramatically lower the prices of popular weight loss medications. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Thursday addressed the UN climate conference in Brazil with a call for renewed global ambition. World leaders and delegates gathered in the Amazonian city of Belém for the opening of COP30. It's a pivotal summit taking place at the very heart of the world's largest tropical rainforest. Standing at the gates of the Amazon rainforest, she urged nations to make COP30 the moment that keeps the 1.5 degrees Celsius goal alive, strengthens commitments to triple renewable energy, and of course, double energy efficiency by 2030.
We're firmly on track to meet our own 2030 target. As my friend Antonio Costa just said, we have our NDC for 2035, the second most ambitious one of major emitters. And yesterday, our member states also agreed on a 90% reduction target for 2040.
The Los Angeles Zoo, viewers, has a new baby Bornean orangutan. The first in nearly 15 years at the zoo, by the way. Officials say that the baby was born on the 10th of October to 43-year-old mom Kalim and 31-year-old dad Isim. Now, Bornean orangutans, viewers, are categorized as critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or the IUCN. Now, this is also the first offspring for the pair, Kalim and Isim, but the third offspring for mom Kalim. Meanwhile, the zoo's curator of mammals has said that it's the first orangutan birth there in nearly 15 long years. Well, with that, it's time to step into a short break. Much more on the other side. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching The World Report with me, Arjun. Viewers, US Airlines has begun cancelling hundreds of flights Thursday due to the Federal Aviation Administration's order to reduce traffic at the country's busiest airports starting Friday because of the government shutdown. More than 500 flights scheduled for Friday were already cut nationwide, and the number of cancellations has climbed steadily throughout Thursday, according to FlightAware. It's a website that tracks flight disruptions. The FAA, meanwhile, its order to cut flights to 40 of the busiest airports across the US includes New York, Los Angeles, and the likes of Chicago Airport as well. Meanwhile, but the impact will disrupt travel at many smaller airports as well. We get you some reactions.
I feel really bad for the TSA agents and everybody else, air traffic controllers that are being impacted. So in a way, I think we saw it coming. And all I can do myself as a traveler is when I get in the plane and when I get to the airport, I thank everybody and say, hey, thank you, because I know it's rough, right? So
if you don't have people manning the towers and TSA, it can cause a problem. So I think part of it is for safety, but the other part of it is trying to put pressure on Congress or each party putting pressure on the other to try to get decision made.
And viewers, as the shutdown is grounding flights across America from coast to coast, Jamaican-American recording artist Shaggy is helping with relief efforts following Hurricane Melissa, which devastated parts of the island, and for him, it hits close to home than anyone else. Viewers, the Category 5 storm tore through Jamaica in late October, leaving widespread destruction across towns such as the Black River, which Shaggy described as one of the hardest hit areas. Now, Shaggy, whose real name happens to be Orville Richard Burnell, said he used online resources to determine which supplies were most needed before heading to the affected areas with relief materials himself.
We got into St. Elizabeth, which Black River was the main. It was very heavily affected. It looks like they dropped an atomic bomb there. It's how damage it was. We pulled up right before the bridge and just shut that whole town down because they said it was ground zero. And we just pulled up right there and just opened the truck and just said, hey, we're going to give it out right here. And what was good about the people of St. Elizabeth is that, we thought we was going to get chaos because we didn't have much security, But they just started, the truck pulled up and they just started to form a line by themselves, And that's how orderly it was.
And well, it's a wrap on this Friday edition of the World Report, viewers. I'm Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Take care and have a wonderful weekend.